Who is not getting their own Disney Plus Star Wars series? That should be the question at this point, right? I'm not. They're not.
Actually, I heard a rumor you are.
Yeah,
I am?
not. I am. That's weird that you're not.
She is?
I am.
Well, that was part of it. It was all three of us.
I heard they are.
Yeah.
Pointing at the Resistance. What's going on, everybody? It's the Resistance broadcast. It is it's pandemonium. It's insane. Everybody's getting their own Disney Plus series.
It's like Oprah.
We're gonna
get a Disney Plus.
we're gonna get into it a little bit later here, but I'm John. Thanks for joining us. It's our news show, so we're gonna tackle the latest in Star Wars news and, of course, rumors, just like those. James and Lacey are with me, as always, of course. So what's going on with you guys these days? We got October, so we're heating up the other base, which is breaking the fourth wall.
We have two bases? Is it a rental home?
It's the same
Beach
base.
house?
It's the same base until we're not there yet to have a second base for the Mando fan show. It's the same base, but it's a little different in terms of
Is
its
it a
vibe.
rental? Airbnb? What does it look like?
We turn the camera the other way.
Yeah, we got to get the ambient lightings that we've been talking about, right? The purple toned or whatever. But you guys are ready for it's October, so it's Mando season, which means it's Mando fan show season. Like, we're doing some planning behind the scenes. We don't want to give too much away right now, but you guys getting pumped about that? I feel like, because for me, the switch, for some reason, because it means nothing, but when the calendar hit through October, it hit the spark in my head that here it is now. It's coming this month. Here we go. I don't know if you guys
you're
are
the
there.
host. That makes sense.
Yeah, well, maybe. Yeah.
James?
Yeah.
He's like looking off into, he's like, it's October? Oh my God.
No, I was trying to
slow
think.
push just in.
I was trying to think about, like, for me, like, I'm a little bit, because I like Halloween, I'm a little bit more okay with, like, as soon as it hits October, that's Halloween month.
Yeah.
But I don't really like that November is, like, all Thanksgiving. I'm like, yeah, okay. But I can kind of understand it. But a lot of times, too, that isn't even the case. Christmas creeps into November, too. So it's like as soon as November hits, like as Halloween is done, people go, it's Christmas season. And it just turns into that whole, like, 2-month period. And then there's that big, the open debate about, like, how many weeks before Christmas is Christmas music allowed.
I feel like people start that now. It's crazy. Every year it gets...
You think it goes all the way back to October?
Lacey's already got her tree out.
Oh, no.
You already...
No.
Oh.
How would I know that?
No.
Yeah.
Imagine if I did and I was like,
I think if anything,
know?
it should be October is... Yeah, October is all Halloween, November is all Thanksgiving, and December is all Christmas. If anything, and I'm not even locked on that.
Countdown to Christmas on Hallmark Channel starts right after Halloween.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
How many dumb movies can they play?
12 months of Christmas. It starts like in January. I'm like, oh my God.
They have all the different seasons. They have Countdown to Christmas. They have Winterfest, spring, like fall and spring love, and then summer weddings, and then Christmas in July.
Like, how many movies has Lacey Chabert done for them to fill those time slots?
She's got to get a yearly salary. I think she has a contract with them that they're like, hey, you got to do 5 a year.
I have a friend who was a stand-in for her.
I hate you.
She's on that show.
I know. Can you stop? Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm super excited. I am very, very excited for Mando, and I'm really, more than that, which is really kind of funny, is I love the hype of getting excited for it. Like the energy that you feel leaving, like getting there.
Now, are you preparing yourself to give more conservative grades this year on the Pedro Pascal face scale?
You know I'm going in like, it was an 11,
Episode
guys.
1's a 10. Yeah. It's like the dunk contest in the NBA. It's always 10, 10, 10. All right, but speaking of, holidays and gifts and stuff, we do have to announce the giveaway winners for our jewelrybrands.shop giveaway. Can't say enough about Jewelry Brands. They've been an awesome partner with us because they're offering us 10% off to all of our listeners. So if you ever go to jewelrybrands.shop and check out their Star Wars stuff, their Marvel stuff, DC stuff, they have all the nerd stuff you want. More things that you can imagine. So just go to the site and check it out, first of all. And then if you want to pick something up, go to checkout and just type in TRB and you get 10% off. But we did run a couple of giveaways, one on Twitter and one on Instagram. So we're going to do our giveaway announcements right now. All you had to do to win Hans dice, which I have Hans dice here, but I don't have them on a keychain.
Yeah, it's a keychain.
No. Hans dice on a keychain. You just had to follow us and retweet our tweet on Twitter. And the winner of that
tweet on Twitter
is Joe Schaefer.
Yay!
Bane,
congrats, Joe.
Bane of the Sith 90. So he's pumped for two reasons. One, he just won that, and one, Darth Bane's apparently going to be in every new movie and TV show in Star Wars coming up. So, congrats, Joe. We will send you a message to get your info and get that sent out to you. And now, I don't know how cool your car is, but it's going to be a lot cooler when you got that keychain.
Or your house key or something.
Oh, true. Yeah, it could be any key. It could be your work locker key. Who knows what you do with your keychains?
No, work locker keys are not allowed.
Oh, damn. Sorry, Joe. All right. Instagram winner. Who do we got?
So Instagram, you had to like the photo, follow us, or not like it. Follow us, follow Jewelry Brands, comment why you liked Solo Star Wars Story, which... Guys, if you have a chance, I know it's going to sound super lame, but when we do these contests, read the comments. It makes you feel really good about why people love things. Like, I really love reading through them. Our winner for the dice for Instagram is Christopher Lee at Mr. Chris Lee 24. Congrats, you won. Congrats. So we'll be getting those out to you soon.
Nice. Good job. All right. By the way, before we get going, have you guys see the new Mando poster that came out with the child and
the baby in the satchel?
Yeah.
I like mine better. The new one.
Yeah.
The first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2 months from now, he's gonna be like, I like mine better. He's gonna still be talking about that poster.
I posted missed opportunity that they didn't put goggles on Baby Yoda, and then someone.
I saw that, and I completely agree with you. They should have put goggles on.
And someone did it. AT chat, I think, or somebody. Yeah, I think that's who did it. And he put him on. And he's like, there you go.
That would have been so good.
Yeah. All right, James, Resistance Report. Let's tackle this stuff.
It's the Resistance.
Well, John, there's not a whole lot to say here, just other than the fact that the way you started the episode, which was everybody's getting a show, is just we have more rumors that more characters are going to be coming to live action, and that includes recent things about Alden coming back as Han in multiple different variations and versions and other things like that. More recently, there was a Darth Bane rumor that was going around, and also a Mace Windu one going about getting a specific prequel series, and that, of course, obviously Sam Jackson would be returning to that character. Don't worry, 20 years older or so, but he would be somehow younger, but that's fine. But yeah, I don't know. I guess this is an ongoing thing where just more names to add to the list of possibilities. Yeah. We don't know if is this information getting leaked on purpose to figure out who the leakers are, or what is happening. But I'm gonna start with you on this one. Like, where are we at, and what are we doing? What are your thoughts on all these different characters? That's not to mention all the other ones that we've heard. You know what I mean? Right. But you can get into that too. But what's up? What do you think?
Who?
Mr. Make Solo 2 happen. Let's go. Alden's the first story.
No, well, so these all came from Daniel Richman, who is known for nailing some some Marvel scoops in his day.
Isn't that a Garfield character?
Orville or Narvel?
Narwhal. All I think about is the narwhal in Elf, who's like, "Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad."
No, I know he's gotten some Marvel stuff right in the past. I'm not positive on his Star Wars track record, but so I mean, just looking at this, like, this is kind of like a impromptu rumor review, because I haven't done a rumor theory review in a while. But the Mace Windu one, I don't buy. I'm not saying he didn't hear this stuff, by the way. This is just, I'm looking at these, and here's my take. Like, a young Mace Windu show, and then Samuel Jackson's also going to be featured in it. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And then we also heard reports recently that he's doing a Nick Fury thing, and he's in his 70s now. And I don't know, like, what would I don't know if people want a young Mace Windu. Like, Samuel L. Jackson is so entrenched in what Mace Windu is that seeing a young Mace Windu, I don't think would work. Because you'd be trying to get somebody to live up to that persona and that stature of a person. And I don't know if that works. I know Star Wars has done that with Han Solo, of course, but Han Solo's a bigger character to me. Mace Windu, I don't think so. I don't think people want that. But I don't know. So I don't think that one's true. Darth Bane, that could make sense because they already reintroduced him into canon. So it's possible that they can really push the envelope and say, let's go even further back. Forget High Republic. Let's take it way back when there's literally nobody that anybody knows who could show up and do some scary stuff and the rule of two and all that. So I could see that happening in some sense. The Alden thing, obviously, I actually reached out to him. I DM'd him specifically about this one. And I was like, look, I know you've been putting out all these stories. What's your confidence on your sourcing for this Alden thing? Do you think, did you hear it's just him doing cameos in other shows? Are they bigger roles in other shows? Is he getting his own show? And I, said, there's been other reports about him getting his own series and they're building it around that. So there's all these things going around. And he said, I'm confident in my source. It's him having roles in multiple shows and that they're not ruling out his own series. And again, I wanted to reach out to him because we're talking about his rumors here and I wanted to make sure I had his words. So we have to just go by that.
It's nice he responded. Because I know sometimes people
right. And he was like, yeah, I'm happy to, clarify because some people will ghost you and then you just have to say, look, they didn't get back to me. And that's the deal. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, I think the more and more people are reporting on this and, the Make Solo 2 Happen movement really taking off and growing and more people liking Solo, I think it makes sense for them to bring Alden back on the Disney Plus format. We've talked about that. Mm-hmm. So I'm going yes on Alden, maybe on Bane, and no on Windu.
Wow, man. I feel like that's the exact same for me. Lacey, what do you think?
I was going to be totally lame and say, yeah, me too. Because it all the things that you said, John, just make sense. The Windu stuff would just be weird to me, especially because, unfortunately, Samuel L. Jackson is much older than he was in the 90s, It's just like a time thing. With the Darth Bane stuff, it makes sense. You guys, we've been talking about villain problems. There is a really good villain for you out for the taking for other types of movies that have nothing to do with Palpatine and stuff like that. So that would be cool, especially because my understanding with the timeline, it's during High Republic, right?
No, like thousands of years before.
Before that? Yeah. So like Old Republic?
He created the rule of two, so...
No, I know that. I just didn't know in the timeline where that was.
I guess that's what I was getting to. I guess my thought process on when that probably would have happened would be like after a great war of some sort, either with like a civil war between the Sith or like a war between the Sith and the Jedi. And then like when all that goes down, then he's like, that clearly doesn't work. So he starts this like new process.
Got it.
I don't think that's anywhere near the High Republic.
No, I think it's like the Jedi 1,000 years before it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's just clarifying.
Got it. I think I got a little confused by the article because it did say 1,000 years, but it said the way it was phrased was like 1,000 years. He lived for 1,000 years or something. I don't know. It was weird. Anyway, as for the Alden stuff, that's really great. And as we know, I feel like in the past few months, especially after Make Solo 2 Happen Day in May, it's like every week I either see a new article about how Solo's so great and they should do more, or it seems like every month we're getting an interview with Alden because he has that new show coming out, but they're leading with Solo. They're not leading with the new show that he's in. It's always like headline of like, would like to play Solo, Han Solo again. Bases his character on Han Solo. It's always leading with that. And I know that people always tag us in those articles, which we really appreciate because it's good to see. But I just think it's one of those things that it would be a huge win for fans to just give us a couple episodes of Han Solo. Like, it's not hurting anybody by giving it to us.
Yeah.
Like, it's not saying, like, oh, we're rewarding bad fans or anything like that. Like, I think overall, the majority of people would love to see it. I would say probably 95% of Star Wars fans would love to see it. And I think it would be a super big win for fans of, hey, here's something we really feel passionate about, we really want to see. And then for it to happen, kind of like Clone Wars, like that would be so awesome for Disney / Lucasfilm to make this happen. So as I hear more and more about it, it just makes no sense why they wouldn't. So I'm hoping that he gets his own series, but if it means we get him as kind of like the thread going through all these other series, that's cool to me too.
Yeah. I don't know how that works because he was under contract for 3 films. I don't know how they restructure
They would probably
that.
redo a new contract.
Yeah. And if that means, well, we're still going to get you on film for, 5 hours, and how we're going to use that is this way versus this way or something. But
yeah, I would imagine it's a different contract because TV versus film is always usually a little different.
Yeah. But I wonder if they can restructure it so that they don't have to get him to agree to coming back. Maybe it's like, look, we have you under contract. We're just going to restructure this. And this was a part of the clause here on page 50.
Yeah, and I think ultimately he wants to come back.
No,
That's
I know.
Very,
yeah,
very
he said
clear.
he would.
He's constantly talking about it. So guys, you have him, you have Jonas. Just come on. Yeah. What are you waiting for?
And like who's in that meeting room, that creative room where they're coming up clearly all these ideas?
Mm-hmm. Big whiteboard, yeah.
That big empty whiteboard. They're taking a step back.
There's always the one person that's like, so what about a solo series? And they're like, come on,
I know.
Gary,
like Michelle Redwan's like, listen, I saw this guy. He had the sweatshirt on, and but it's like, who's turning down this? Han Solo and Chewbacca arrive at Jabba's palace, and they enter and they meet Jabba the Hutt, and
Jabba the Puppet.
Jabba the Puppet.
Do meet Jabba the
and
Puppet.
all those characters, and we get to go back to that place that probably made everyone love Return of the Jedi as like their favorite. Like if you love Return of the Jedi, a lot of people go to that scene and those scenes. Like we get a chance to revisit those characters again, and that kicks off this new adventure that Han can go on, that we know he went on and worked for Jabba for a very long time, for like 10 years. Mm-hmm. And then you could also intertwine him with the cartels and the Crimson Dawn and the Pikes and all that stuff. Yeah. So I don't know who would turn that down. They have to know better than to say the box office thing with Solo, because even like Alden said, like it's a very successful movie. He's like, I don't know if I'll ever have a movie that makes $400 million again. It just happens to be a Star Wars movie, and on a lower budget and stuff, that movie would have made a profit. So I don't know. There's a lot of things to look at that, and it's again one of those things that I keep holding out hope for. But it's definitely that one project where, maybe unlike other rumors where I'm like, oh, cool. All right, they're going to do that. Cool. This one, I keep my guard up as much as I can because I don't want to get hurt,
John's got that board, guys, at his house with the red string that every time an article comes out, he adds it to the board.
Yeah, it's off screen. It's right over there. Yeah.
So, I would say there's a couple things to this. Number one, I mean, we all kind of decided that the Alden one sort of makes sense. The Bane one is like, I don't know, possible. And then the Mace Windu is not possible or not probable, right? And I think the reason we kind of come to that is just simply straightforward what kind of makes sense. Like you could replace these 3 stories with any other characters, like replace Mace Windu with Jar Jar Binks. Jar Jar Binks series in the works. It's like, oh well, that's probably not likely or gonna happen. It just kind of, for whatever reason, it just doesn't make sense. It has nothing to do with what somebody heard or anything like that. It just kind of doesn't make sense.
Well, has anybody reported on a Padme series yet? Because we could start that rumor right now.
That's true.
A young Padme series with Millie Bobby Brown. No, I'm just kidding. Some like 8-year-old kid is Padme, and then Natalie Portman could come in, and because she loves the prequels so much.
I was going to say, Millie's aged out of an 8-year-old.
Yeah, I know. Finally, thank God.
She was really good in Enola Holmes.
That fan casting, though, was just too much.
The Darth Bane story, it holds water because nobody knows anything. There's no connection to actors, no connection to time frame, no connection to anything. That's like them saying they're thinking about doing an Old Republic show. It's like, oh, okay, sure. There's nothing we can pull on like actors or anything who would or wouldn't return, and that's a big one against the Windu thing. Unless, of course, with the Windu thing, they were doing the whole, like, what we thought about the Lando series. Like, it's actually played by the younger Lando, but the older Mace Windu is there to navigate the story or something, you know?
Yeah.
The older Lando was there to say, like, back in my day, I had a crazy thing. And then it, like, dream sequences back to Donald Glover. But I mean, I think that the crux of the story is all this Alden stuff, and as Daniel was saying to you specifically, was that, you know, the idea is that they're going to try to weave him into other series, and then, you know, him getting his own is not off the table. You know, in one sense that makes a lot of sense to me, because I think it would seem likely that they're on the fence about making a whole new show and pushing really hard something that they maybe aren't confident about because of the box office returns on that particular concept or character or whatever they did. Especially when it was kind of like potentially contracted in, like it was like, hey, I'm selling you Star Wars, but you got to make that Solo movie. They're like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. I think they're happy with what they came up with, but, you know, it's always kind of like somebody else's idea and project maybe sitting on their shoulder. So I do kind of understand the hesitation a little bit, but if they are happy with Alden and the Solo and all that, and they wanted to bring him back, I think potentially instead of making that big investment, it might get a little bit of a taste of putting him into these other series and just see how he works. My fear, though, and see how fans react and what the ratings are on those particular episodes and how people feel about it. My fear, though, is that what kind of makes sense in his time frame would be potentially the Cassian and potentially the Obi-Wan series. So are you going to feel flooded with Han Solo? He shows up in this show. He shows up in the other show. Now he gets his own show. And it's like, I would say better to not put him in where he's coming in on these other shows and just give him the full-fledged show. Because I feel like while that's a little bit more of a risk, I feel like the payoff on that is people not getting sick of your character. And then when the show comes out, they're like, we've already seen, you know, this younger Han Solo 3 times. Mm-hmm. He had his own movie. He was in the Cassian show. He was in the Obi-Wan show. I'm getting tired of him. Now he gets his own show.
He's not going to be in Cassian or Obi-Wan.
No, I hear you, but what the plan here is that to weave him into other things. So, you know, we joked off. Those are the only things confirmed. If we're talking about maybe all the other rumors and things, there has been the Crimson Dawn show that he would be potentially weaved in and out of. The Lando show that he would be potentially weaved in and out of. Yeah. And that, those again make sense, but right now it's hard to speculate on a rumor, which is reliant on other rumors. You know, it's just,
sure,
it gets really crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think, I don't know. It is what it is, right? Darth Bane, maybe. Mace Windu, probably not. And Alden, God, I hope so. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
D23 moved, though. We did want to talk a little bit about this because it was upcoming, but then they moved it to September of 2022, which is interesting because it is only 3 weeks after what has been confirmed or scheduled to be Star Wars Celebration 2022. So I'm going to go to Lacey on this, but to wrap your head around that, that's basically 2 events that we imagine would be annual things that they would spend the year prepping for and then execute, now are going literally back to back and basically happening at the exact same time. Does that make sense for marketing, or are we planning, or are we looking at more of a pushback on Star Wars Celebration to another year after that, which would in fact be just months before the movie, right?
if they don't push that movie again. Yeah.
Because the movie's 2023 as of now, right? Yeah. So, Lacey, what do you think? What do you think of this story?
So this isn't shocking. This year has not been good for Disney. They're losing tons and tons and tons of money this year because of the pandemic. They just laid off 28,000 people from the parks. And it's my understanding that, you know, my first assumption would be like, okay, you're closing the parks, so then you must be saving money because everything's off. They have to keep the rides running daily, whether people are in the park or not, because of safety precautions and different types of things. I read online on Reddit from someone that works at Disney is they have to keep the rides running so that everything is safe when they decide to open back up again. So it's not surprising that they're pushing this back because, first of all, we don't know what it's going to look like next year. The hope is that everything will be better, but you can't really guess that right now. And I mean, this is probably the farthest event I've seen moved so far, but we've seen a lot of events already that are January, February, March being moved to the following year or to later in the year. The interesting thing about this, guys, is that it does put it, as James said, kind of right up against Celebration. Now, D23 is run, owned, everything Disney. They control basically the whole event, whereas Star Wars Celebration is half owned by Disney, half owned by ReedPop, which is a company based out of Connecticut that does events. So they're working in partnership with Lucasfilm and Disney to put on this event. So they've already pushed the event back to 2022. The movie's been pushed back to 2023. Guys, I'm going to probably guess that this event will probably also be moved to 2023 because when you're putting on an event like this, you want to make sure, and most events, which this is happening in the same location, which is Anaheim, the only reason those two events are near each other is because they're both Disney. Oftentimes when you have an event like this, they have blocks, months, like 2 months ahead of time, 2 months after that. You can't have similar events in the same location. That's why you have WonderCon much earlier in the year, and you have other different Comic-Cons at different times. San Diego Comic-Con probably blocks out that convention center for months from anything in that specific industry and genre because they don't want to cause brand confusion. So that's the only... Go ahead.
They call it market saturation, which, like, if you think about just as another random example to prove that point, is like back when I was in the band, like we would think about that and we'd be like, oh, this band who sounds very similar to us is going to be there like a week before. So we don't want to go to that city because everybody will have gone to their concert and they won't have any money to come to our concert. So it's like the same thing.
Right. So it basically cannibalizes ticket sales. And yeah, there's obviously fans that are just Star Wars and there are fans that are just Disney, but there's a lot of crossover there, especially with Marvel fans and just pop culture fans in general. So I sadly believe that they might not do it immediately, but they're going to move Star Wars Celebration to 2023. There's no way they're going to have those events right up against each other. It makes no sense, both from a business perspective and also from kind of just like an entertainment perspective. Like a lot of these press outlets and companies and brands that work on both of these events can't afford to go back and forth to California 2 to 3 weeks apart. A lot of these companies that go to San Diego Comic-Con and then go to D23, it usually would be enough time that they can then leave whatever they're bringing to the show in California. So this would just be, I don't know, it's just too much. And I think that John is going to talk about it a little bit about how we've already kind of seen somewhat insiders discussing that, expect that to be the case.
Yep. So John, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I saw a former Lucasfilm employee who worked the events and marketing for them in conjunction with Celebration and all their cons. Daniel Kennedy was talking, just giving his take on it. He doesn't work there anymore, so he's not, he doesn't have to keep his lips shut. But he was just giving his honest opinion for fellow fans, which is nice of him to do. It doesn't mean this is the case, but he was inferring kind of like what Lacey's saying, and it's logical that he's saying on one hand he could see them keeping them there, but it would be weird because then they're going to clearly hold things from reveals at Celebration and save them for D23, which will piss off a lot of Star Wars fans. But on the money side of things, he said it might save some vendors money by keeping it that close. But he said if he had to put money on it and they had to move one of them, it would 100% be Celebration because Disney's not uprooting everything, whereas you can just move the one franchise thing. And that 2023 movie thing dangling out there, nail on the head, Lacey. Like, it just makes a lot of sense. If the movie was still 2022, then you're like, we got to keep it. But because they pushed the movie out, we're not sure why they really pushed the movie out. COVID is a nice excuse, I guess. I'm thinking they're still working on developing stuff.
They might have pushed the movie out because they already knew that this was going to happen, and it just so happened that the movie announcement came first.
I don't think so, because I think the movie is more of the important thing than a convention, a fan convention. It's a $1 billion grossing film, so I think I don't know that they would move a movie because of a fan convention. In my opinion, I think the studio doesn't work that way. But do they move it a full year to 2023? Do they do spring 2023? Like, I don't know, but I mean, it's now it's just so far away. And I agree. I think you're right, Lacey. And I think Daniel Kennedy's right that if they are going to move one, it'd be Celebration. And I don't see why they wouldn't move it. Because like we say, that movie's in 2023 now. So they're going to need to promote something big. They may not have enough in 2022 to promote the movie yet. So
Disney will want to put everything at D23 because they have their stakeholders and everything else there. Why not put all
We got to start mentally
cards?
preparing that we're not going to be together celebrating Star Wars.
Well, if we go to D23, we can.
Yeah, but it's not the same. 3 years from now, I guess, which is kind of a bigger bummer. But
that is a bummer. That's insane.
Yeah.
That it's going to be, wow.
So well, you know, it almost seems normal when you say 4 years between celebrations or movies or whatever. You know, that seems more normal, but it hasn't been normal since like 2015.
Let me put it in this perspective. So the three of us together have been podcasting for 2.5 years. So it's going to be more than double that when we celebrate Star Wars again.
I'm going to be old.
That's great. Yeah, let's not talk about that. Yeah.
I have to laugh. It's all I have left at this point. Everything's been taken from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because right now we are sitting on the fact that Star Wars Celebration is confirmed for 2022, but it is weird because it was supposed to be 20, now it's 2022, and it's very likely that it would be 2023 because of that movie move. And that is probably what you would want anyway. It is interesting to think that maybe they would move it to more of like the April rather than the fall version or whatever, but which would put it right back on to the same track that all the movies have been on, in the sense that like we'll get that first trailer of that 2023 movie in the spring.
Hopefully a title before then. I can't do that again. What is the title?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that was the third movie
That's also,
in the trilogy or whatever.
That's another thing to think about. Like, 2023, like, if Kathleen Kennedy leaves after 2021, which she may not. Maybe she resigns and we're all like, oh, wow, we were wrong. She's staying on. If there's a new regime, that they're in charge for 2 years at that point. So how they promote Star Wars could look way different than how they've been doing it. Like, we may get the Marvel calendar, like, you're getting that character, bangs, 8 years from now. You know, you're getting this character, boom, 5 years from now. Instead of untitled, see ya!
Yeah.
Sorry.
Or maybe they get rid of Celebration. Maybe they start.
They just get rid of Celebration. Yeah.
I mean, they could and just combine it with D23 and say, "Hey guys, it's not its own thing anymore."
Yeah, they could combine it with D23,
but it is money though.
Spread
it's
out the
just
rumor
money
to
for
other things.
Right,
yeah,
but Disney wants that money. It's like, I think they probably make like
how to piss off your diehard fans,
$9 million or something like that.
Destroy their convention.
Well, here's a question, and I mean, some might speculate that it's called something else, but like there really isn't a Marvel Celebration, you know?
Yeah. That's because those are fringe popcorn fans, man.
Not because it hasn't been presented to them before. It's because they haven't moved on it yet.
Yeah. Because people aren't going to be celebrating Endgame in 50 years. That's why.
Because, I mean, one could argue that it's like, well, that's Comic-Con. It's like tons of stuff that promotes Marvel and the world of Marvel or whatever. But it's like, it's not really the same. And it's not a specific convention that's built around getting, like, the people who worked on the Marvel Cinematic Universe up on panels and bringing in the actors and talking about the future of the movies and stuff. That's always been presented at all these other conventions.
I know for a fact that there have been cons presented to companies for a Doctor Who con, a Lord of the Rings con, a Marvel con, a Pixar con. Those have all been presented as ideas, as their own things, based off of the success of events like D23 and specifically Star Wars Celebration.
Wow. Yeah. That is crazy.
And before you type the comments, I'm just trolling Marvel fans. I'm just having fun.
Everyone knows, John.
Well, that's sad that we might be moving another.
We're making our own celebration, guys.
All right, James, let's get into sadder stories.
Yeah, it's sad that might happen, but what is even worse than that is when somebody passes. And we wanted to report on the show that Kevin Burns, the producer of the probably most popular documentary, The Empire of Dreams, passed away last week at 65, who was pretty young. But we just wanted to, point out that's a very good documentary to watch if you're a Star Wars fan. I know John talks about it all the time, and John, you said potentially the best documentary.
It might be my favorite documentary ever. Like, it's 2.5 hours, and it's that documentary that, like, when fans go to, like, we were talking about Celebration and stuff, and you're sharing, like, anecdotes about the history of, like, the saga, like, 90% of them come from this documentary, And this is, like, the visual version of J.W. Rinsler's books, even though he does have a visual version now in a sense of his books. But it's such a look at the making of the entire original trilogy in a very earnest and sweet way, where you see, like, George Lucas when he was very young, like, almost having a heart attack trying to get his movie made, and all the way through the end of Return of the Jedi, and seeing the actors and them reflecting on it. Interviews with George Lucas from, like, the early 2000s when they were producing this, when he was still, making his prequels and still happy and still had a smile on his face. And this guy also, he produced and directed that. It's available on Disney Plus too, if people don't know where to find it. It originally came out in 2004, when Star Wars first came out on DVD in 2004. It was the 4th bonus disc. Now it's on Disney Plus. But he also did the Star Wars The Legacy Revealed, which is that documentary that showed the ties between Star Wars mythology and, like, ancient Earth mythology and that sort of thing, like religions and stuff. So he produced and wrote that. But I just, one thing on that is, these types of things I'm very passionate about, because, George Lucas isn't going to be around forever. J.W. Rinsler's not going to be around forever. Like, these things that these people are creating, that we're the archivists or the people who know the history of the making of the franchise. Like, we have Dave Filoni now teaching people how things were because George Lucas taught him. Having these actual documentaries and documented facts of history is very important as more generations come into Star Wars, because, Star Wars didn't start with Rey and Kylo Ren. Like, people need to understand how George Lucas created this thing. I think it's very important to get back to the basics of Star Wars and educate people on the history of the franchise. Yeah.
Sure.
So rest in peace.
We also wanted to talk a little bit about, to move on from that, the Mandalorian Art and Imagery book, Volume 1, was released. Now, this unfortunately is only covering the first 4 chapters of The Mandalorian, but the way it's divided up, with, like, the Mandalorian, and then they go into the Child, and then they go into all the other Mandalorians and the villains and heroes and other things. I really like the layout of the book, and I figured Lacey might actually want to talk on this.
Yeah, did you guys get this yet?
It's like another one of those, like, art and imagery things.
This is different.
I usually don't do the art stuff.
This isn't the art book,
than the art of the Mandalorian book, which I've had on pre-order, I think, since, like, January. It's like in my Amazon orders, which, by the guys, it's so embarrassing. You go into my Amazon orders and it's, like, all normal stuff, and then it's like all the dates of upcoming things, and it's all Star Wars things. I got my Akbar today.
I only have one thing.
And then it was like
My
the
Amazon
animatronic
orders.
Yoda. It's the art book. Like, it's all these like pre-orders. But this is super cool. I'm really excited for the art of The Mandalorian, only because it matches all the other art books that I have. And I really am someone that likes to collect sets. So this definitely looks cool for people that are fans of The Mandalorian and fans of the, you know, the pre-production creative process of art and how characters
this is more
get
like
created.
Gallery, right? Like, this is just visual. There's no like,
Yeah. But I mean, I guess I'll have to check it out. It's just, I got a budget, guys. Like everybody else, and I already have one.
The one thing is they're saying this is a lot cheaper than the art of books, which I guess those get pretty expensive. But
they
I
do.
think,
They're like $40.
yeah, this has like your
How much is this one? Like 20?
I think it's 20, and then the second set will be 20, so it'll be like 40 for the whole season. But you get your Doug Chang drawings, and it's like, think gallery more than the art of books where you're reading full descriptions from Phil Shostak. This is like, you could probably take this and put it on your wall. Like, it's just, here's the art.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
Last thing we wanted to say was that the HasLab Vintage Collection Razor Crest was actually funded. And just a little bit of thing on that. That means they had, 8,000?
Over 8,000. They're over 8,000.
Well, that was what they needed to get, yeah. So they, and it's funny too, because like I feel like every day I open it up and it's like, goal reached, we're getting the escape pod now.
Well, that was the 8,000
like,
person goal. So it was fully funded, and then they reached the 8,000, which got them the escape pod. And then if they get to 10,000, they get the Baby Yoda and the pram.
The Baby Yoda thing.
Figure.
And, yeah, so it's so crazy because you're thinking, yeah, of course, well, a lot of people want to buy this. That makes a lot of sense. But you have to remember that one person backing this is $350. So
Lacey, do you order this one?
really ridiculous.
So people keep asking me. I have not ordered it yet, and I feel like a terrible fan. But like I said, you have to budget, and
James, you
maybe
order
I should start up a Ko-fi to raise funds.
If they get to 12,000, I heard that they're adding the toilet feature on the Razor Crest. So that's good.
It's already in there.
Yeah.
The toilet's there.
Is it there? No, it
Yeah,
works
it's
though.
there.
Yeah.
No, it's a flushable toilet if they get to 12,000.
Oh, got it.
You guys got to remember who you're talking to. I probably wouldn't even pre-order just the Baby Yoda.
No,
I would
asked you
totally
as a
buy the
joke.
pre-order. I would pre-order the
No, I know.
Baby Yoda by itself, but this ship is so cool. First of all, I don't know where I would put it because I have a Millennium Falcon that's like the big one that they brought out in like 2008. And it's just sitting on a table. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking I'm going to put it behind me at some point, but this looks super cool. I know people really love this series, and I really think this was super smart branding and marketing on Hasbro to really put it into the fans' hands of, okay, you want this? Help us back it, and we'll make it for you. Because then it takes the onus off of them of producing these toys and having them sit as peg warmers in the store. It's really being like, okay, you like this? We can make it cooler, but we need more people to do it.
It's GoFundMe or Kickstarter, but on a professional level.
Which is cool to me because then it doesn't put any risk on Hasbro to make it.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, that's it for the news this week. Lacey, let's get over to the Patreon pod race.
Yeah. So, guys, it's time for the Patreon pod race. So there are lots of ways you can support us. You can like, comment, and subscribe here on YouTube. You can follow us on all the different channels that we're on. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, now Apple Music, all different types of things. You can follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. You can follow us on Instagram at The Resistance Broadcast. But if you want more than that and you want extra content, Discord servers, mailings, and much more, you can head over to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Starting at $2 a month, going up in tiers, you gain more access, more community-based stuff. So you can go from, hey, I just want to get involved, to I want to be here, I want to talk with you guys all the time, like really engaged, which we love. So our top tier are generals, which we really appreciate their support. This is their segment to be a part of the show. So first I want to give them a thank you. So thank you to Carmelo, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, David Probus, John Reese, Micah Harrison, Jetta Rosewater, Michael Gaines, Bethany, Russ Harbison, and Kendall Gellner. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate your support. This week, guys, we're super pumped. Once again, we have a rotating slot in here. So we're welcoming in General John Reese, who is General Beard of the Beard Squadron.
Yes.
And so he gets to be a part of the show and let us know what he thinks. We ask him a question. He responds. This week, we asked him, there are a lot of rumors of familiar faces appearing in The Mandalorian, turning that idea to the untitled Cassian Andor series and the untitled Kenobi series. Which familiar faces would you like to see appear in those series? So, General Beard, take it away.
Hello again, Resistance. John Reese here. For the Cassian series, I would really like to see Krennic come back, preferably with interactions with Tarkin. I thought Tarkin looked great in Rogue One. I'd like to see bits and pieces of them working together and fighting together and trying to outmaneuver each other. I also really would like to see Baze and Chirrut. It'd be really cool if we saw more of Jedha and maybe the Force worked in a mysterious way to help Cassian and he didn't realize it. And then for Kenobi, I think Qui-Gon is almost a given, but Qui-Gon's my number one character I'd like to see return, especially to see Liam Neeson again interact with Ewan McGregor. And I feel like if Qui-Gon's there, we're going to get Yoda too, which would be awesome. And as a stretch for Kenobi, I'd really like Owen and Beru to be back and maybe see why they don't like each other. Thanks, Resistance, and I'll talk to you later.
Nice job, John. Excellent job. Now I'm going to go to the other John. John, what did you think?
John, I have to comment on this. Incredible grooming of your beard. It looks very combed out nicely. I don't know if you did that for us. If you did, we appreciate it. Thank you. But is that back-to-back beards? Was David last week?
He was. The Beard Squadron is representing.
Look at you guys. All right. All right, so you're going all in on the cameos. You're going Tarkin, Krennic, Chirrut, Baze, all in the Cassian series. That's interesting. I didn't think that they would bring back Baze and Chirrut, but I love Chirrut, so I would love to see that. I think that'd be awesome. And I'm down for the others. The Kenobi, I agree. Qui-Gon is the no-brainer there. I'm surprised we haven't seen fake exclusives confirming he's coming back yet. Maybe I should do it. Fake exclusive.
Exclusive.
No, but yeah, that word means nothing now.
Exclusive. Nah,
you make a good point. Could Yoda appear then, because that conversation that he had with Obi-Wan about Qui-Gon learning how to speak through the Force? I would love that. Get Frank Oz back as much as you can, for as long as you can. And seeing him with Obi-Wan again would make sense. The Owen and Beru thing, I think that's a no-brainer. You think that's a stretch? I think that's a guarantee. I think we'll see Joel Edgerton back and get that tension going, as you're not going to mess with my nephew's head, like that sort of thing. So great answers. You did a great job. That you are the man, John. You're always like promoting us on Twitter. You have no need to do that at all, but you do it on your own time, and I can't thank you enough. You're awesome, dude. So thanks for being a general. Thanks for being an awesome Star Wars fan and a friend to us. Thanks, man.
James?
Yeah, so I started off by doing this balance thing, and maybe that's because I'm a big fan of Rogue One, but I completely disagree with all of your Rogue One takes, but then I completely agree with all of your Kenobi takes. Yeah. I don't know about Krennic and Tarkin. I definitely don't think we'll see Baze and Chirrut back. But then on the flip side of that, absolutely Qui-Gon, that has to happen. Yoda, very strong possibility, and I'm with John on this too. Owen and Beru, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think that's an easy bring in. We've already seen them kind of have some conflicts with Kenobi, and it will add to the original trilogy, the original Star Wars. So, yeah, that's yeah, I think that's definitely going to happen. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, John, so much. Great answers. We really appreciate it. I don't know if I can add anything because they both said really good things. So
Kenobi's the GOAT.
Sorry, Lacey.
What? No, it's okay. What?
Kenobi's the GOAT.
Kenobi's the GOAT.
Kenobi is the GOAT.
Kenobi's the GOAT.
He is the best of all bests.
What if Qui-Gon just shows up and says, "You're the GOAT"?
I would
and that's it.
And James would quit Star Wars forever. But anyway, we're going to head to the guy who's giddy for Gideon. John, did you ask the Resistance?
All right. All right. Yeah. Ask the Resistance. Here we go.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
Anytime you want to send in a question, use Twitter at RBATSWNN. Hashtag Ask the Resistance, or you can email us resistancebroadcast@gmail.com, and we'll get your questions on the show and have some fun talking about them. So, Danny at Semperfi Danny sent this in. What's going on, Danny? She said, will we see any characters who appeared in the sequel trilogy at any point in the next few years of The Mandalorian? And if so, who do you think are most likely? So Lacey, why don't you tackle that one? What do you think?
Hey, Danny, how's it going? This is a tough question for me. I'm always bad with the who do you think will show up? I'm like, I have no idea. Especially sequel trilogy, just because it's a little trickier given the time frame from that to The Mandalorian. But I'm going to go with what I would want to see. I really want to see Admiral Akbar. He gets fried in the sequel trilogy. Unfairly, unjust kill. And I want him back. So I'm going to go with, I think we'll see some rebellion people, including...
You just got me pumped.
Admiral Akbar would be pretty cool.
He would be cool.
I would love to see The Mandalorian.
He shouldn't have died.
We need you, Din. Yeah.
We need you, Din.
Yeah.
So that's my answer. Thanks for your question. Appreciate it.
Cool. Next up, Joe Ritchie at Darth Mucky. What is going on, Joe? Always repping TRB out there on Twitter. Thanks, man. Hope you guys are doing all right. I know you've been tweeting about some tough times, man. He said, hey, all, I'm a huge Captain Rex fan. If he doesn't show up in season 2 of Mando, do you see him showing up in other live action or animated content? James?
I definitely see the possibility that he could show up in animated content. The only big question mark is what animated content. We don't have anything really coming right now. There's nothing announced. Oh, well, yeah. That's actually a good point. I forgot about Bad Batch. That's also the problem with Bad Batch is I forgot about Bad Batch. But one thing that I thought is the live action, and I go, how could we bring him into live action? And actually, if you wanted to, I really think you could slip him into Cassian. As Ahsoka, right around the time of Rebels, she was doing the whole Fulcrum thing, and as we know, Cassian later became a Fulcrum agent as well. That means that there's a pretty good chance that Ahsoka and Cassian have met or had some sort of connection because she follows in the footsteps of what she led, and that could be a handoff thing. If that is in fact a handoff thing, then you also have to throw in the fact that Rex might be right there with her, and it would be an easy way for her to make like a quick appearance with him just standing there in the background because he's there with her. So I would say potentially maybe Cassian if we are lucky. We'll see.
All right. Very good. All right. Last one here. Jay MacArthur at Sandwich Guy Jay. What's up, Jay? Why do you think Vader prevents Boba Fett from blasting Chewie in the carbon freeze chamber? All right, so I know a lot of people do a little bit of retcon thinking on this. I mean, I have two options. One, Vader likes calling the shots. He doesn't like other people doing things next to him without him having given the order. So he's like, "Who is this guy? Like, you're coming to collect something that I got for you. Like, you're not shooting people, and this is my operation. You're putting your gun down." The other being, if he hits and kills Leia and Chewie and them, that loses the incentive of Luke to want to go there to save them, because he's going to sense that Han's gone. If he senses that they die, maybe he can't lure him there. So I think having them as bait is very important to Vader. And like, you're not going to let a little punk like Boba Fett do things off of your plan if you're Darth Vader. So I think just he's like, this is not how this goes. Welcome to the Empire. So yeah, that's my answer. Let me know what you think, Jay, and everyone. Let us know what you thought of our answers, even if you weren't the one who sent the answer. But we appreciate those. Keep them coming, and we'll keep discussing them on the show. We appreciate it. But that brings us to the end of the show. So we want to thank everyone for listening and watching, being a part of TRB. Make sure you do subscribe to us. Again, like Lacey said before, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, Podbean, Amazon Music, anywhere you get your podcast, we're there. So whatever you prefer, subscribe, because we have 2 episodes every week, Monday and Thursday, and the Mando Fan Show is coming on video and audio every Friday night. So, you don't want to fall behind. This is the month of Mando, of course. So we got a lot of content coming.
Month of Mando. I like that.
Well, alliteration,
Look at you.
StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your Star Wars news, your reviews, editorials, information, and more. We're going to be doing some reviews of each of written reviews of the Mandalorian episodes when those kick off too. Teespring.com/stores/Resistance Broadcast to pick up some of our merch. We got the Make Solo 2 Happen pins. They are available. Go grab yours so you can keep spreading the word of the movement, so we can stop talking about Alden rumors and maybe eventually talk about Alden facts if they bring him back. So let's keep that going. And last but not least, just where you can find us, Johnny Hoey on Twitter and Star Wars Newsnet. James?
Twitter and Instagram at Myra Trunks, and we hope you had a good squadrons-filled weekend.
Yes. Yeah, we're going to talk about more of that if we actually play it. Lacey?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin.
All right, that is it. Thursday, we're bringing back the games. We're going to be playing Who Are You?, our movie and now live-action show quote guessing game. It's going to be me and James facing off. Lacey bringing the quotes.
They're all Padme quotes.
They're all, of course, all Padme quotes. And we're going to have more fun and more topics of discussion, too. So enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you Thursday morning right here on the Resistance Broadcast. See you around, kids.